Hello my friends! Welcome back everybody to TTBurger Game Reviews. I'm your host Tony, and we're back. I know it's been a while since I've done a TTBurger Game Review here, but we're back now and I apologize for the delay. And we're back here talking about some more game reviews here. We're going to be talking about episode 291 here, and we're getting closer to that 300th episode. That's something special planned for that. But today we're taking a look at episode 291, part 1 of 5 parts today for this episode. And today we're going to be talking about games based on WWF/WWE Smackdown. And man, the good old days of WWF and WWE Smackdown. Good times watching that stuff when I was 12 years old, and good times. I mean, just sure it was all choreographed and stuff like that and stuff. It was fun to watch and entertaining. That's why it was entertainment. It was funny. It was fun to watch on a rough day at school or anything like that. Just go home, just relax and stuff, and just watch all that stuff. Even my grandparents were a fan of it too and stuff. That's how awesome it was back then. And I grew up with WWF and WCW, and I grew up and I watched the show, the games, and I had some of the merchandise and more, and had to like some of my favorite wrestlers, superstars from WWF, like the Giant, aka Big Show, and Sting, Goldberg, and Hulk Hogan, who's become a huge icon in the wrestling entertainment industry, and Chris Jericho, and all of them, and more and more. It's fun times for sure. And of course, when it comes to popularity on WWF and WCW stuff, there were the video games, good and bad. And I've already talked about WrestleMania Arcade Game. I talked about a couple of WCW games, which I will talk about the other ones in the future. But today, for this episode, we're going to be looking at the games based on the WWF Smackdown franchise here. These were the PlayStation exclusives here. And I know that there's a bunch of other WWF games that we need to talk about, but I'm only going to be focused on the Smackdown ones here for this episode. But the other ones we'll be talking about for another day in another episode. But we're going to break up into 5 parts here, 5 games. Part 1, we're going to look at WWF Smackdown. Then Part 2, the sequel to WWF Smackdown 2, Know Your Role. Part 3, we're going to dive into PlayStation 2 here with WWF Smackdown, Just Bring It. And then WWE, Shut Your Mouth. And then wrapping things up with WWE, Here Comes the Pain. And this is going to be also a response to 616 Entertainment's video on these games as well. And we have a lot to talk about. So let's get started. We're talking about WWF Smackdown for the PlayStation, developed by Yuke and published by THQ, released on March 2nd, 2000. And when it comes to WWF and WCW, we had our share of fun games and bad games. Those of you who grew up with the PlayStation and Nintendo 64 knew which ones to get, which ones to avoid. But what is it to say about the first Smackdown game on the PlayStation? I mean, we had a bunch of wrestling games on it already, but some of them were not so good. And some of them could have been better and stuff like that. We did have WrestleMania Arcade Game and WCW Nitro and WCW NWO Thunder and stuff, which were fun games definitely, and a couple others. But Smackdown is what really kicked it off for the PlayStation and the wrestling genre and started that when it comes to video games. And what did you say about the first Smackdown game? Well, despite some problems, I really enjoyed it. Some of these problems that I have that make the game feel a little dated, but you want to know why and how. As we get started, we see the opening cutscene with the Smackdown theme playing, which is an awesome tune to this day. It never gets old. Then we get to our modes here. Season mode, Exhibition, which is a bunch of match types, and there are a ton of them. And you want to talk about a variety of modes to play, this game sure has it. There's plenty of content here to keep you all entertained. The season mode is pretty much the main mode, or the story mode or so. And it is not that much fun. The season mode mainly because this mode follows a WWF calendar like schedule similar to WWE, which you see on TV and everything. And you pick a wrestler, then you get into the season mode with the calendar where we see our first problem. The matches and everything are unorganized, and sometimes you can go through weeks without even being on the calendar. So you'll be skipping matches until you pop up. And the wrestlers with a name in gold are the only ones you could pick for that time, so for the month of the year, etc. On top of that, there are no unlockable wrestlers whatsoever. Sure, there's a good amount of them, such as Stone Cold, The Rock, The Undertaker, Triple H, Chris Jericho, the Hardy Boys, all the female stars such as Tori, Deborah, and the late Chyna. And there's a good amount of wrestlers to choose from. But it would have been nice to unlock some new ones. Sure, you get parts you can unlock in the Create a Wrestler mode and create certain WWE wrestlers, but why not just have them as unlockable wrestlers? And you get these cutscenes which serve no purpose other than to waste time. No one cares about this person looking suspicious, or this rival, or this person being talked about, or this or that. And plus there's no voice setting in these cutscenes, it's just text, which I will get to more in the sound aspect. Back on track here, it takes forever to wrestle a match, and by the time that happens, you will not want to continue the season mode after all that waiting. One interesting note about the season mode is the schedule. It always changes with the new wrestlers, new matches, and more, kind of like how it is on TV as well. Now, I know I complain about the season mode, but there are other things we have not mentioned yet, so let's continue. There is the exhibition mode, where this is where I spend most of my time on in this game. You have tons of modes to choose from, such as single, tag team, handicap, battle royale, royal rumble, king of the right, hardcore, anywhere fall, cage, survival, special referee, and I quit. All these modes are fun. You will not get bored after a while because they have a lot of replay value to them. After we pick a wrestler, we see their entrance video, the same iteration of it is in the show on TV, with the in-game model of the wrestler walking in front of it, and that's pretty cool for its time. After we pick a wrestler, we see their entrance video, the same iteration of it is on the show, with the game model of that wrestler walking in front of it, and it's pretty cool for its time. Then we get into the match. The graphics here in WWF Smackdown are pretty good looking. At the time, you could not get better looking graphics for a wrestling game. The wrestler models look very detailed, like their actual counterparts in real life, and they move very lifelike too. Although they all move very similar to one another, you have to remember they can only do so much for the PlayStation. The arenas and the rings of detail, you can mess around with them, adding fun factors to them, like put the Raw ring in the Smackdown arena, or such and such, etc., etc. And with all the creative wrestling mode, these characters you can create come with a lot of deal too. Like hell, you can create a dinosaur or a robot, or THQ Man, or Jason Voorhees, and more. You can create Stone Cold with Rock's body, or vice versa, and they're all really well done. The special finisher moves here are detailed, as well as like Tori's suplex, but there are some that look ridiculous, like the Rock's people's elbow. He's jumping around on a trampoline. The sound of WWF Smackdown is pretty weak. It's probably the worst aspect of the game. Hell, there's not really anything to talk about here. There's no voice acting, no commentary from Michael Cole or Taz or anyone. WWF Attitude came out before this and had commentary and voice acting. Here we get nothing except for Rock 2 that sounds really good, but after a while you get sick of them because you hear them over and over. The only voice acting comes from the referee, who was never really seen, but he didn't really say much. The Smackdown theme here is awesome, as well as the Raw theme as well. The menu music is okay, I can admit that, but the sound really could have been better. They could have had some commentary. I don't know why they didn't. The gameplay here is very simple and easy to pick up and play. The controls are basic. You move with the directional pad. X button is your strike attack button. Circle button is your grapple and pin button. Triangle lets you run. Square button is your counter and reverse button. R1 is your tag opponent button. There should be no problem for newcomers and fans playing this game for the first time to master the controls. The opponent AI is not the best. Sure, they prove a fight in the ring, but if they get knocked out, sometimes if they will just stand there and do nothing, it'll take them forever to get back in the ring, and you know, they just waste precious time on the clock. There are some cool options you can use for your matches, like having knockouts. You can use weapons like chairs and stuff that really puts you in control of what you want to do with the game and the matches. You can also not only create a wrestler, you can create a pay-per-view event as well. Yeah, imagine picking your own wrestlers, your own events, fun stuff, I know. There's a lot of fun to have here in WWF Smackdown for everyone who picks up this game. It should definitely not be avoided. It's definitely a fun wrestling game, and I recommend it to anyone who's newcomers or fans of WWF to definitely pick it up. Of course, you know, like, they had some bad ones, some good ones, but I recommend this one of the top ones here. But now, before we can give this game a rating here, let's go to our TTBurger Pros and Cons chart. For TTBurger Pros, lots of modes and match types, excellent graphics, wrestler entrances are amazingly detailed, simple and smooth controls, special moves are fun to pull off, create a wrestler option is enjoyable, you can create a dinosaur or a robot for fun, you are in control of the matches and wrestlers and more. For TTBurger Cons, season mode is disappointing, no unlockable wrestlers, in season mode you only get unlockable parts. Season mode cutscenes are boring and add nothing to the game. No voice acting or commentary whatsoever. Opponent AI can be brain dead at times out of the ring. That's all it's supposed to have with it though. We have more pros than cons, so yeah, it's a great game, definitely worth picking up and playing. My final thoughts here, I recommend this game. If you want some Smackdown on the PlayStation, definitely check this out for the first Smackdown game. It's definitely worth it and still holds up really well to this day. I give WWF Smackdown an 8.5 out of 10. It's not the best game, but it's still a pretty damn good game for sure. And definitely should be worth checking out and definitely worth owning your collection for sure. And that's it for this part of episode 291, part 1 of 5 of my WWF Smackdown franchise review. Stay tuned for the next part and take a look at the sequel, WWF Smackdown Know Your Role, which was released 8 months after the first game. Kinda soon to be having a sequel, but how does it fare? Find out next. Which all I gotta say is Tony, peace and out. Have a good day and see y'all in my review of WWF Smackdown 2 Know Your Role, episode. So 291, part 2 of 5. Take care, everybody.
I know it's hard, yeah, they were in your heart, yeah. A little piece of you broken and discarded. You need to be, you get space from all the dark.